Welcome to the Mystery College Podcast. This is Jake Zen, and today I'll be interviewing James Robinson from Perseus Academy. Welcome to the show, James.
Thank you, Jake. Thank you for having me.
Pleasure to have you on. I'm really curious to ask you some questions about the Academy. Like, what inspired the creation of Perseus Academy? And how does it differ from other educational platforms focusing on meditation, spirituality, and more advanced practices like magic, evocation, Kabbalah?
Mm, uh, well, yeah, it formed. We had the thought of this several years ago before we actually did Perseus, and there was kind of the seeds of us wanting to do something because we'd been in organizations and groups and platforms before. Myself, I've been part of many different groups, but I always felt that maybe there was something that I was looking for, was that true genuineness of the practitioners wanting to help other practitioners, people that were further ahead and wanted to share what they had achieved, because there's so many talented people with so much information to share but barely get a mention because they're not famous or they're not authors or whatever. And as over the last few years, I've met people like Andre, Nenad, and more recently Peter, yourself, and Bob. And I'm like, oh my goodness me, there's so many people with such a different take on magical practice, on the theory, on the actual practical aspects of these arts. And, really, we were sort of talking about these things, and it became more and more a topic of conversation. And then I give credit to Andre. Andre was kind of like, talking to him was the final push for us to think, okay, this is something we should probably do now. Now's the time. And Andre as well, it was him that came up with the name Perseus. So because we were different terms, and that was perfect. So firstly, we wanted to provide a place for real practitioners to seek genuine knowledge from more experienced practitioners without having to worry about them wasting their money or being, sort of paying someone else's mortgage for something that isn't really worth the value. We wanted it also to be a place where genuine practitioners could be rewarded for their work, because like yourself, me, I've flown all over the world. I've trained with different teachers in Kung Fu and magical practices. The cost of doing this, the cost of opportunity of doing this, it's huge. And so people's time needs to be valued. So I see, people like Nenad and Andre offering, obviously everyone, I couldn't mention everyone, but two good examples is Andre and Nenad, offering a lifetime of experience and knowledge for the price of what would be a few coffees.
Yeah, immense value.
And I think there's in this kind of community, sometimes people think everything should be free or whatever, and there's a time and a place for that, but we're humans first, teachers second. And humans need a roof over their head, and they need to buy food, and they need to support their loved ones. And the work that, look at any of Andre's books or Ninan's books. These things are absolute gems in future generations. People are going to look back and think, oh my word, what did we have? And so I wanted a place where people like Andre and Nenad could have a wonderful platform that does all the technical things for them, and they can just teach. They can just do what they do best, which is teach. So that's how it started. And then from there, obviously, yourself, enriched the courses we have, Bob, and everything else. But the fundamental reason originally was a place where genuine practitioners could share their knowledge, and I know there are other places around, but the difference, you asked what is different here. I think the key thing is that my focus, I don't know whether I fit the spiritual box really, but I'm tremendously practical. My knowledge in many areas is lacking, which is what I'm trying to balance now. But I prefer practice and practical application, and through that I find what I'm lacking. And that's what I wanted Perseus to be, a place where people put the time in and where they really did the practice, and where they could obtain feedback on that practice, not just another place for theory.
Yeah, that sounds wonderful. That emphasis on practicality and having teachers, instructors, people in the community who have gone through the process, who have walked the talk, and who have put in their hours, put in their paid dues. That makes an immense difference versus people talking about things and they're speaking on theory or speaking on some author's authority from 100, 200, 400 years ago.
Exactly.
It's a very different thing. Yeah, and I'm really curious too. Speaking of that, like, could you elaborate on the significance of the Franz Barden tradition in modern esoteric practices, and how the Perseus Academy how does the Perseus Academy approach this tradition? It seems to be like the Perseus Academy seems to be a nexus of people who happen to be very familiar with the system.
I suppose originally this is really a sort of a branch of my own practice, really, because initially I was involved in many Asian systems. I was involved in Vajrayana. On my way, I was hoping towards dodging and practices like this. But increasingly, I found the structure of these organizations restrictive. And I found that I was maybe ticking boxes in my practice rather than achieving the real fruits of those practice. And so with a lot of kind of umming and ahhing and am I doing the right thing? Am I not doing the right thing? I left those organizations. And I was really kind of crying out for something to fill that gap. I was taking trips to Asia, and I was trying to find the teacher, the way. And then out of nowhere, I discovered Franz Barden's practices. And I didn't know at that time anything about magic or anything. And I was thought, well, is it bad? Is it just for power? Is it going to get me out of samsara? Is it just illusion? So I was sort of wrestling with that for a little while. And then I came to the conclusion that actually this is exactly what I need. It's self-directed. There is no guru as such to be told what to do. It's exactly what I needed, a freeing structure with no secrets. There's no, when you get to this stage, we will reveal this, the carrot on a stick. It's all there, which is what I loved about the Barden practice.
So what are some of the unique features of the courses on Perseus Academy? Like, how about like the 60 Skills Master Course or Andre's courses?
Okay. Let me branch on from the previous question. So with the Franz Barden practices.
Yeah.
So the reason that Perseus is maybe a little bit of a gathering of, lots of people say of Barden practices and Barden teachers is initially myself. That's all I knew, and that's all I really that time had a measurement of. I don't know how to gauge a Golden Dawn practitioner. I don't know how to gauge an Enochian practitioner. But in terms of Barden practices, I know what I'm looking for, and I know that I also want to have a relationship with that person first. I want to discuss things with that person first. I want there to be trust, and that I think this teacher has the best interests of the students in mind. So that's really why initially it was very much Barden centric, and now adding on to that, we've had Denny join us, who's got vast experience in different arts. Also Peter for meta magic. So he's joined as well, who's opened my eyes to other areas as well. Onto the curriculums. So this is what I'm really happy about, is that I'll start with the huge courses that we have, which is things like the master course with 60 skills, and also the evocation master course with yourself, masterclass with yourself. So with Bob, I've known him for years, or we've known of each other for years. We met many moons ago in China, which is a strange story in itself, that we met so long ago and then came back together inside of the Barden's practice. So that's kind of funny. So with him, I already knew that we were both on the same page. And his his offerings are very suitable, for someone who, I just want the information, I want it clear, I want a demonstration, and I want to get on with it. So that engineering mindset, which part of me loves that as well. So I was really happy to work with Bob and to have the master course there. Because it's exactly what some type of people need. They just need it, the whole package there, and they need to see it on video. So of course, in the past we've had the book, which is lovely, but there are limitations to print, and Barden didn't have the benefit of all of our modern tech. But with Bob, we get the whole structure of everything explained clearly, with no bias, with no well, this way or that way. All the facts are laid out, and all you then have to do is do it and then draw your own conclusions. So with the master course, absolutely love it. I think it's a tremendous foundation for further practice, or in itself, it's kind of like a lifetime of work anyway. So that whole curriculum of 60 skills, where that's going is really exciting. And then with the evocation masterclass, I mean, oh my word, I mean, looking at the testimonials from students inside the evocation masterclass is amazing, because these are the kind of students that I see. A lot of them are very energetically sensitive, and they, with your transmissions, they go from almost zero to having quite amazing experiences. Just one look at the testimonials and the comments in there is pretty amazing. So having that, I think was really, really great for Perseus, because it opened the door to this, for people that maybe are just starting, or they're just moving from meditation to magic, and they hear about this thing called evocation, and there's these pictures, and these scary stories. And what you did there, obviously everyone to a degree on Perseus doing this a little bit, but you open the door wide to say, look, it doesn't have to be scary, and it doesn't have to take 10 years either. There's a way where you can safely proceed, and you can kind of test your practice along the way to show that you're not fooling yourself. And then you can actually gain access to these intelligences and these frequencies through a tried and trusted method. So with the masterclass, evocation masterclass, I think is massive, because it opens this door, because so few would go through that door before, because it seems scary and way off in the future. Whereas now they don't have to say, oh, in 10 years time, I'll start evocation. Now they can say, well, okay, with Jake's advice, I can start it this year. I can start it this month. So that's huge for Perseus, having those two things, the 60 skills curriculum and your evocation masterclass. Of course, all of the courses I feel are very valuable for different reasons. But another one I want to mention is the meta magic. Have you read Peter's interview?
I've read parts of the interview, and it's pretty phenomenal. The amount of depth and the those in his journals are incredible. I've never seen journals quite like that.
Yeah, it's like this was completely new to me. And thanks again to Andre. He introduced me to Peter, and it was all new, and I'd never heard of some of these things. And even though he has experience of Golden Dawn, Enoch, in everything, but even his take on it is very much a Peter take to it. He's through his own lens of meta magic. And I still didn't really understand it too much. And then this year or last year, I don't know if you saw, we put some pictures up. Myself, Falcon Books, Nenad, and Peter. We all met up together in Hong Kong, and it was a wonderful experience, because I don't think that we're going to get that chance maybe again. And Peter, one day, it was a very special day. Peter took us all around the temples in Hong Kong. And then we ended up in this Swedish cafe in the middle of like a very traditional area of Hong Kong. And there was Nenad, Serbian living in China, in Hong Kong. We got Peter from Canada living on a small island outside of Hong Kong. we got us from England living in Taiwan, all congregated in this little cafe. And then Peter pulls out his Enochian work, his drawings and the way he scries and the way his approach to these arts. And it was like a seminar, the way he was explaining it. And then we were there about 2 or 3 hours, and my mind was just blown. And then we went off on another walk around other temples, and we ended up at another beautiful cafe. And he again, the conversation, the questions, we just sort of gravitated towards meta magic, and he again sort of gave us sort of a mini workshop almost on the practices. And gosh, it really shows you. I mean, he's done 20-30 years of practice, and he's come up with something so unique, so incredibly different than anything else that's out there. So having that curriculum on Perseus, I think, is amazing. I think a lot of people really don't see it yet. It took me a while to see it, and when you read his work, it takes a little bit of digestion. But we've got something else coming with him soon, another huge interview with him. I think those interviews are like they're like books. They're huge. 9,000 words was the first one, and it just, for anyone with sort of open mind about different approaches, wow, it's a tremendous curriculum to have on Perseus.
Oh yeah, that's tremendous, and it's really exciting. I loved hearing the story about you and Nanad and Peter in Hong Kong. That it sounds like a wonderful time. I did see those photos. They're
that was wonderful.
I was just sad I wasn't there. That would have been great. I love those.
We'll have to do a big gathering somewhere.
Oh yeah, it sounds great. Perseus Live.
Exactly.
Yeah, I love it. I'm curious too. Like, where do you see with Perseus? Where do you see the future of magical practices and esoteric teachings heading in the digital age? Right, we have new tech, we have new abilities to transfer more information, more bandwidth, and hold space in all these new ways.
It's true. It's changing so fast. I mean, I know, like myself, we got a great interest in new tech and everything that's happening. I'm currently learning Unity, trying. So, I mean, I think in terms of real practice, I don't think a lot changes there in terms of real solid, rigorous practice. But in terms of additional tools, I think, yeah, absolutely. With things like augmented reality, with things like VR, we've got new venues where we can, before you get to your astral temple, maybe you'll have an AR temple, there might be things like these kind of practices that are going on. So I think these are definitely going to be useful. And I think the gauge will be, it has to be that it's a tool. I think though I love all this stuff, I'm quite a sort of, the traditional aspect of me is that I don't want it to become all feely and kind of, it feels nice, or it was fun, therefore it's good. I want it to be useful and truly useful contribution to practice and advancement, not just something that keeps people busy. So I personally, I had a lot of trouble in my early days with visualization, for instance. I'm one of these people whose bodies are very tight together. So feeling energies and visualization skills was really hard for me. And I also have a high level of what I think. Am I imagining that? Is that real? Is that not real? So I'll very much question my results. Whether that was useful or not, I'm not sure. But that means that I want any practice that I'm doing to be very rigorous, and that I want to know that it's really real and happening. So I think those tools, especially things like AR, I think definitely may well be used in future for people to kind of attune to a color and attune to a sound, because they have it there before them in between their palms, and slowly that can transition to them mentally producing it and then astrally producing it. So they could be ways of kind of like what they called, when you're learning to ride a bike. So just to guide you into those practices, and then to release you once you start getting it. Once you start really getting those qualities yourself. So I think we're just scratching the surface, because how fast it's moving. Is like whatever I think of creating and start working on, the next release of Claude or OpenAI, they've already done it.
Exactly.
So it's hard to see.
Yeah, it's difficult, but and I like the distinction you made between doing high quality practice and then keeping yourself busy, because that is the challenge with technology and with any new tool we have, is whether is this helping us get further to our goal or destination, or is this just something fun for the journey?
And that's it, just another distraction in samsara, taking me away from where I want to go.
Right. And the technology in samsara, some technologies help release us, some bind us further. And we know that well. Yeah. Awesome. And is there any other things you'd like to share before we come to a close?
Let me think. Really, I think that's about it. I mean, really just to say that, yeah, we as a platform, we are, we really want to provide a place for practical learning. And so, we have several free courses that are available on the platform now, because we want to provide a lot of high quality free education as well. So it's all there to be had, and of course there is, we can do all this from a book. I think one thing I want to maybe say is that Perseus is not there as a replacement for any of the books or any of the teachings that are out there that people are doing. It's there as we just said about tools, as a way to not replace, but to make things more efficient. I've started Barden's practice in, when was it, 2008, and I know for a fact that people who have been doing your work and have been doing Bob's work, they've probably got to a similar place where I am now in a matter of a few years.
Yeah.
Because you guys have created an efficient path, whereas I spent a tremendous amount of effort and work doing it the wrong way or the less efficient way. So that's really what I see Perseus is doing, is it's allowing people to, and we really want this to happen, to do things more efficiently, get to the stage of magical freedom whereby you have access to your own akasha, you can create non-dual light, you're able to start evoking, you're able to work with the first keys, second keys of Kabbalah, and at that point, the cosmos opens and you can start going in your own direction and creating new ways or bringing down new knowledge. And so that's what I think is like, well, currently we've got Bob going out to the outer planets, and now he's teaching others how to go out to the outer planets, and you are also doing similar in your courses. And this means that we've got a whole new generation of people that have got there very quickly. And of course, the creation, I think, is infinite and is unending, which means there's an unending source of learning to come into the earth. So if we don't reach that threshold, nothing new is going to come in. So the more of us that can reach that threshold, the more is going to come in, and it's going to benefit all of us. So Perseus is a platform for making it efficient and for getting you to that point quicker than it took me.
Yeah, I love that. I love that spirit of generosity and figuring out, okay, how do we make this more efficient, and also honor what things do need time and time to marinate.
Absolutely.
But to give our best, to put it forward, and also be open enough to allow our best to evolve, and to evolve from feedback from students, from other instructors, and for all of us for the water to rise, and for all of us to rise with it.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think there's obviously some things do just take time. Maturity takes time, balance takes time, but there's certainly ways that we can be more efficient with our time and and gain more productive feedback from our practice. So that's the big thing I've learned, and that's been probably the greatest thing about being at the center of Perseus, is that I've had access to all these wonderful teachers, and just from working with these teachers and seeing their content, I'm like, oh my goodness me, yeah, it's a much better way of doing things. So yeah, hopefully this new generation of learning now will, with the help of all of our courses, will push things forward. Yeah, so that's my hope.
Yeah, that's my hope too, James. I really appreciate having you on the show today. It was wonderful speaking with you. And where can people go if they want to check out Perseus Academy, social media links, websites, ways to get in contact with yourself or instructors?
Okay, yeah. We have the main website, which is the Perseus.com, Perseus Arcane Academy.com. If you put Perseus Academy into Google, you'll get us, should be on the top link, PerseusArcaneAcademy.com. On there, I would say the blog is the first place to go. Read the blog, read all the material. There's got so many interviews on there. And really digest some of those posts. They're huge, some of those. For courses, we have, if you go on the top right-hand corner of the website, there's a little link that says free courses. And that will take people through to, I think we have 4 free courses now, whereby we've got energetic training, we've got some Barden-specific training, we've got the introduction to magic from Andre. So there's various courses on there from various instructors to give you a good taste of their training, and to give you something of value to see, well, did this work? Did it help me? If it did, then you can perhaps pursue other things. If it didn't, well, at least you now know. Okay, so there's some good practice there. In terms of contact, you can get me on the Facebook, the Perseus page, or contact@PerseusArcaneAcademy.com. I love hearing from people. If they want to comment on the posts, if they want to email me, it doesn't have to be for a specific thing. It's just nice to talk sometimes. So please feel free to email me, I should say.
Sounds great. Thank you so much. And I look forward to speaking with you again soon.
Thanks, Jake. Thank you again for having me on. And yeah, I shall speak to you soon.
Talk to you soon. Bye.
Okay, bye-bye.